Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to the David Rotter Show. I just picked up this Esquire. It was refurbished, and so I got a rather good deal on it. But it's a strange, it's a unique thing. This particular instrument, it's only got one pickup, but it also has a switch. And why does it need to select itself 3 different times? I mean, it's one pickup. What? Okay, but the weird thing it just starts there and then gets weirder from there. So this back position back here towards the neck, it doesn't have any high end, like none. I have a little bit of gain because I'm using a Marshall model of a Marshall amp. But if you even turn it down, it's like try to clean it up. It's like this muted. Okay, but it's supposed to be the same as this when this is turned all the way down. But they don't sound the same. Same volume. And this. So they're different. And then the middle one has the tone knob. But there again, this is supposed to be all the way up, like what this is, and this is a forerunner of the Stratocaster setting. On an original Stratocaster, if you clicked it all the way to the lead pickup, there was no tone knob. It just was this screaming thing that was supposed to. But what I don't understand is, it's in '54. There's not much to scream over. So why would you need? But it turned out to be really good for the future. I mean, but at the time they're screaming over a doghouse bass, an upright bass. But this thing does have its unique things. It doesn't need another pickup. Plenty of that twang, but this thing, this so-called useless set, I think it was designed, before rock and roll was real big, and pedal steel, lap steel was real big, country was huge, coast to coast. So you had this. I think this setting was designed to play like lap steel and just be in the background and play this sort of. This like sweepy sort of, in the background. Because obviously not meant to be in the foreground because there's no treble. But if you add fuzz to this, then it gets interesting, this particular little thing. So check this out. Add fuzz. and it's supposed to be a Jimi Hendrix quote amp. It's got his signature, and it's just one big Jimi Hendrix grift is all it really is, because these sounds aren't exact, and it's none of them. And anyway, it's all good and well. It's some real good settings, some real cool things, but it's not. That doesn't sound like Jimi, And I don't know that any setting is going to help anybody sound like Jimi. Only he could sound like him. It wouldn't matter if he was playing a Teisco through a transistor amp of some sort. He would still sound like Jimi Hendrix. Oh, and speaking of him, so 52 years ago today was his passing away day. I really, you can't get. He had over a quart of red wine in his lungs. So 52 years ago on this day, he was killed. And I think he was killed because he was getting ready to dump his manager. The next week, he was going to court against his manager, and he was gonna, try to get out of that contract. He wasn't going to sign another contract with him. And that in particular manager, Michael Jeffrey, because he had bought Chaz Chandler out. He had a life insurance policy on Jimi Hendrix, and Jimi Hendrix, that was a $3 million policy back in 1969, $70. Gasoline was what, 18, 25 cents, 27 cents, something like that. So you could just, and then he's MI5, and it was just expendable. It was just, that was the thing to do. Just, use him as much as you could, and then just, that's it. Nothing more than human refuse that was going to be on a postage stamp, like decades later. He wasn't the icon that he is now. Back then, he was on white radio, so he was too black for white radio stations, most of them, except unless you were listening to underground FM stations. Back then, they were not like a big deal. FM was, you had to have FM to do it. Really, there wasn't many stations on FM, and he was too hard for the soul stations and all that R&B and Motown stuff. But then you'd go to his shows and it's standing room only. So everybody knew, but he was not the icon. He was on COINTELPRO's. That was J. Edgar Hoover's counterintelligence program. He was put on that right away. He was considered a subversive, and so he's wiped out for his stuff. Anyway, so that's Jimi Hendrix today. We should all just say a little prayer and thank him for what he did, because he had 4 years to do it, and he did more in those 4 years than he changed the face of music as we know it. There's music before Jimi Hendrix, and there's music after Jimi Hendrix. It's just the way it is. He influenced everything, except for old classical stuff that was already written already. And that okay, fine. But he wasn't trying to do. He was trying to be brand new.